Welcome to Disaffected. I'm Joshua Slocum, and this is the show where we talk about politics, culture, and relationships through a psychological lens. I want to say this at the top of the show to mark it in time. By the time you see this, other news will have developed, more details will have come out, but as of the time of recording this show, I just learned, along with everybody else, there appears to have been a second assassination attempt against President Donald Trump. From what I have seen, yes, this is in mainstream media. It's also on Twitter. It appears that a man with an AR-style rifle was near his golf course in Florida and put the gun through the fence to take a shot at him, and it appears that the Secret Service exchanged fire. These are the reports that are coming. I make no guarantees about the accuracy of anything that I am telling you right now. By the time you see this, it will be out of date. But we're in trouble. We're in very, very serious trouble. If anyone has family members or friends who joked or made light about the prior assassination attempt, and if anyone has family or friends who are making jokes about what apparently happened today on Sunday, there's no more time, and you need to wake up. These friends, these loving family members, will see you dead. I'm talking personally to you, viewer or listener, Jane, Joe, Bob, Caden, Caitlin. I'm talking to you personally. I am saying your family would see you dead. You have had enough time to understand this already. If you do not understand it now, there is no help for you. Be on the lookout. This is not normal. This is so abnormal. All right. You've undoubtedly heard the claim that Haitian immigrants in Ohio are kidnapping and eating pet dogs, pet cats, geese, and duck. It's been has it been all over the news this week? Only to say that it isn't true. So here's what's going on. Springfield, Ohio was a town of about 60,000 people. It is now a town of 80,000 people. Where did the extra 20,000 come from? Haiti. Literally, all 20,000 of them came from third world Haiti over the past 4 years. Town residents have been speaking at city council meetings. They've been making videos. There are calls to emergency services that have been gotten under the Public Records Act, showing people reporting that Haitians are going down to the park, down to the river, down to the stream, picking up the ducks and geese, snapping their necks, decapitating them, and taking them home, because that's what people from third world countries do. They do it with roadkill too, apparently. Now, we're gonna get into this in detail. But the media has been denying that all of this is happening so that they can call ordinary citizens in Springfield white people, so they can call white people racist. That's what it is. Fuck those white Americans. They're scumbags, all of them. They're liars. Bless the Haitians. There's no credible evidence that people have abducted a cat, they will say, as you see 16 videos actually showing some of these guys walking down the street with geese and ducks. Maybe it's not true that maybe no Haitians at all have abducted a cat in Springfield and eaten it. I don't believe that. I can't prove any of this, but I do believe this is happening. There is, in fact, evidence, and yes, it's credible, despite what the media says. But even if no cats were taken, well, let me not anticipate myself. Let's go through it. We've got lots to go through this week. First, let us take a listen. No, actually, first, let's take a look at an actual printed police report. You won't be able to read this on your screen, I know, so I'm going to pull out the parts that are important and read them to you. This is a police report to the Clark County Police Department. And it is a report of 4 Haitians, 2 males and 2 females, for stealing 4 geese. And it has their make and model of their car. Read here. Respondent said he could tell they were Haitian because he was within earshot of them to hear them speaking Haitian Creole, but could not get a complete license plate or photo of them. Okay? This right here that's on your screen and that I'm holding, this is something that's called evidence. You hear from the media that there's no evidence. This is evidence. This is what courts consider evidence. Doesn't mean it's proof, but it is evidence. So you have seen evidence. Would you like some more evidence? This is a video of a Springfield City Commission meeting. That's their municipal governing body. And here is one of their residents telling them what he has experienced.
I think it's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun, because I see what's going on in these streets, and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits, and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this, and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. Like I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans, they're running into buildings, they're running into they flipping cars in the middle of the street. I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from this. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here, because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like.
Okay, that too was also evidence. That's the evidence that does exist, despite the media lying and saying that it does not. Here's some more evidence. This is going to be a little bit of audio from a call to the non-emergency police line from another Springfield resident. Take a listen.
I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today, and I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last number was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on.
Okay, that too was evidence. Let's have some more evidence. Here is a local woman who lives in the area. What she says in her affect speaks for itself.
Fucking safe here, bro. Like, everyone on TikTok, on Facebook, making these jokes to get everything's fucking funny. Like, imagine you being homeless for a whole fucking year for no fucking reason. Like, what the fuck? This shit is not fun. This shit is not cool, bro. They really out here decapitating animals, and y'all are making jokes out of it. Imagine if you went outside and you saw your dog's head decapitated on the fucking ground. Like, why are y'all thinking this shit's a joke? It's not a joke. I don't feel comfortable walking anywhere. Like, what the fuck? I should be able to feel safe in my own city. Everybody's fucking homeless out here. Ain't shit but fucking scary ass Haitians just lurking and creeping and shit. Y'all thinking this shit's motherfucking funny? I keep making this shit up. It's not made up, bro. This shit is real life. This shit is really fucking safe here, bro.
The audio is a little wonky in my ear, so I don't know how it comes across to you listeners, but if you're just listening, she's talking about the fact that she walks outside of her house and she's finding dogs that have been decapitated outside. And I can see her. If you're just listening, this is not put on. She's literally crying. You can see the tears coming. She's extremely upset. It's genuine. Right? She believes what she's saying. I'm inclined to believe that she has seen what she has seen. There are numerous other videos that you can take a look at out there, including people testifying at city council meetings that Haitians are crashing their cars into pedestrians, including there have been fatalities. An old woman was killed. That old people are afraid to walk outside into their own front yard, because Haitians are camping on their front yard. They're putting mattresses down. Do you know what else they're putting down? Feces, because they're relieving themselves outside on people's lawns. You don't have to take my word for it. You can find this. You can confirm that this is really happening. I'm just going to show you one of these. Let's listen to one woman again in Springfield, Ohio.
I was out and about yesterday, driving around Springfield. I was looking at the giant holes in some of our buildings. I noticed all of the old familiar spots bearing new signs in an unfamiliar language. I watched as groups of strangers walked around the city like lost tourists, and it was like a punch in the gut. A terrible sadness came over me, and I began to cry. I immediately started to think back to when I was little, walking from my grandma's house on South Fountain through downtown and all the way to Snyder Park, going to Wren's to get new school clothes and shoes, the excitement of the mall for lunch at the Blue Fox, or even better, to see Santa, riding down High Street, admiring the beauty of those stately homes and their amazing architecture, dropping pennies in the fountain and making wishes. And now, all those warm memories are becoming fuel to the fire of anger inside of me. I feel like we have been invaded by some sort of pest. I'm angry that my friends and family are packing up and moving away. I'm angry that foreigners are using up the resources that were set up for the Americans that reside here. I'm angry that another country's flag was being flown in our city. I'm angry when I see our businesses and recreational areas littered with garbage left by people that do not know or understand our laws and culture and are making no attempt to learn about them. And let me be clear, this is not about race. This is about people being given the privilege of coming here from another country and having no respect for our people, our land, or our life's work. People living their life here the way they did in Haiti, angry, stealing, polluting, living in filth, and acting like animals. These are not civilized people. Opening containers in our grocery stores, helping themselves to what's inside and throwing the rest onto the shelves and floors. Pulling off of the highway to publicly clean and gut the roadkill lying there in front of anyone that passes by. Stealing animals from farmers and leaving their severed heads at the side of an old school where children play. Relieving themselves in public. Making some barbaric stew out of the birds that live in our park. This is insanity, and it has to stop. What will become of Springfield? Where will we be in 5 years? The thought terrifies me. Will it be some sort of dystopian wasteland with most of our original residents having moved away and those that cannot afford to move being locked inside their homes, living in fear? This thought is keeping me awake at night. I just want the old Springfield back. I know it was far from perfect, but at least it was still ours. Thank you.
You can imagine what that woman is suffering now. She is undoubtedly being pummeled with accusations of racism and white privilege. I'm sure she's taking a social beating. I was in the hippie co-op last week, City Market in Burlington. You don't need Haitians for this shit to go on, because American citizens will now do it too. I'm walking through the cart, and what do I see but a young couple walking around City Market? The hippie co-op they have a wonderful hot food and salad bar. It's restaurant quality stuff. It's very, very good. It's one of the only reasons I go in there. Girl walking around with her boyfriend. She's got a box of chicken wings from the hot bar. Mind you, they haven't paid for these yet. 4-inch long acrylic nails. Yes, it was a black couple. Of course it was. This is what I see. Taking the chicken wing out, eating it up. Oh, I want that too. Mm-hmm. Hadn't paid for it. You know, and brazenly. Why do I say, of course, it was black people? Because I'm a terrible racist, right? Black people in this country, especially in blue areas like where I live, know that the law does not apply to them. Etiquette does not apply to them. They do not get negative consequences, and they may abuse other people and be protected while they do it. A friend of mine said I should have video recorded that and taken that to the customer service desk. For what? For what? What do you think is going to happen at the customer service desk when a 50-year-old white man comes over and shows two black people stealing? I'll tell you what will happen. Absolutely nothing to them, and I will be banned from the store. Do you think I'm joking? If you do, then find yourself a similar situation. Come here to Burlington with me. We'll have lunch at the City Market Cafe. Then I'd like you to go to the customer service desk with me. We'll film that. But you see, all of this stuff that I just showed you, that's not real. That's not evidence. That's what all the media is telling us. ABC, NBC, the New York Times. It's not evidence. They use that phrase, there's no evidence. That's a lie. Contemplate what these people running these outlets would see done to you. Later in the show, we're going to hear from ABC's David Muir when we talk about the presidential debate, who blatantly disregards what citizens are actually saying on camera under their own names and their own reputations. And he believes the Springfield city manager, not the people who lived there. And the city manager is lying and saying they have no credible reports of any of this stuff happening. The media is using all of this real documented suffering and law breaking merely to beat up bad orange man racist Trump. They are so sick. And somebody just tried to kill him again. What the media is doing is harping on the fact that no one has yet proved that a particular cat, species Felis catus, no one has absolutely proved that an immigrant has cooked and eaten it. So everything else is a lie. NBC published a story, struggle sessioning a local woman who posted that her neighbor's cat went missing, and she posted that her neighbor believed that Haitians took her cat. The entire reaction from the media is framed as white people doing violence to Haitians. Yes, that phrase, doing violence, by even questioning whether this might be going on. Here's a quick paragraph from NBC News. Local police and city officials have repeatedly said there is no evidence of such crimes in Springfield, but that hasn't stopped the lies from spreading across the country and igniting a national frenzy that landed on the presidential debate stage this week. Former President Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who was born less than an hour away from Springfield, have repeated the baseless allegations. No evidence of such crimes. Baseless allegations. Lie. Lie. Really? All of them? All those people are lying. No geese, no ducks. The pedestrian who was actually struck and killed by an unlicensed and uninsured Haitian driver, she doesn't exist. She never existed. Show me your birth certificate. She's not real. La, 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 la. Right? There aren't any old people scared to leave their houses because third world scum is putting down mattresses and sleeping on their lawn while taking a shit. They're getting up in front of cameras in public and lying about it because they stand to gain something from that. Because we have so much goddamn respect for working class white people in this country. They're so privileged. I'm sure they just want to get out in front of the cameras and get more of that love that America gives them. We're all supposed to believe this bullshit, right? The city hates its white residents. The city government makes sure to feature that the 20,000 Haitians dumped on that city are legal. And why are they legal? What makes them legal? Specifically, here's the answer. Because the Biden-Harris administration made an exception for Haitians over the past 4 years. They simply declared them legal with a signature. They're legal. They're legal. Take a look at the city of Springfield's website. Here's an image. The city of Springfield has experienced a surge in our population over the last several years, primarily due to an influx of legal immigrants choosing Springfield, Ohio as their new home. Here are some of the frequently asked questions about immigration in Springfield. Here's the New York Times doing the same thing. Quote, the Trump campaign promoted an outlandish false claim on Monday that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, have abducted and eaten their neighbors' pets, demonizing migrants as the campaign seeks to attack Vice President Kamala Harris on immigration. I hate these people so much. So much. Yes, flames. Flames on the side of my face. This next one is especially upsetting. You're going to hear from the parents of a boy in Springfield who was named Aiden Clark. He was 11 years old when he was struck and killed by an unlicensed Haitian immigrant. This is his father. Yeah, take a look at Aiden. Now let's roll the tape of his father while his mother stands by.
In our best interest to be here after recent comments. You know, I wish that my son, Aiden Clark, was killed by a 60-year-old white man. And I bet you never thought anyone would ever say something so blunt. But if that guy killed my 11-year-old son, the incessant group of hate-spewing people would leave us alone. The last thing that we need is to have the worst day of our lives violently and constantly shoved in our faces. But even that's not good enough for them. They take it one step further. They make it seem as though our wonderful Aiden appreciates your hate, that we should follow their hate. And look what you've done to us. We have to get up here and beg them to stop. Using Aiden as a political tool is, to say the least, reprehensible for any political purpose. And speaking of morally bankrupt, politicians Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They can vomit all the hate they want about illegal immigrants, the border crisis, and even untrue claims about fluffy pets being ravaged and eaten by community members. However, they are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio.
I wouldn't ordinarily say this about grieving parents, but this man is morally disgusting. He's filth. And he dishonors his poor murdered son. They hate Donald Trump, and they hate reality so much. So much more than they hate the man who killed their son. They hate reality so much, and apparently love their son so little, that they are using him for political preening. Did you catch the reversal? This was political preening by Mr. Clark. They are not and have never been allowed to use the name of my son. Shut up. Shut up. I can't believe a parent whose child was killed has acted in a way where I am emotionally motivated to say, go fuck yourself. But he did it. He did it. They would rather 1,000 more Aidens die at the hands of third world scum than they would rather stand up and do something to stop it from happening to other people. That is how fucking sick this country is right now. Can you feel it? Do you feel it in the air? Do you see it around you? It's getting worse. This is so far from normal. All right, this is exercising. We're about to go to a break, which means that I'm going to stuff my face with some delicious cured meat from our sponsor, landofbiltong.com. What is biltong? Well, it's like the world's best beef jerky. It's a South African way of vinegar and spice curing very thinly sliced meat, and it is absolutely delicious. My most recent box just showed up with lovely beef in it. If you like meat, and who doesn't like meat except vegetarians, you're going to love this stuff. It's better than any beef jerky you've ever had. Go to landofbiltong.com and make sure to take advantage of our promo codes. We have two. If you'd like to get free shipping, use the promo code JOSH. If you'd like 10% off your order, use the promo code JOSH10. And, of course, we'll go to our other sponsor, who is me, except I don't pay for it because it's my show. Do you need somebody to talk to? Could you use an hour with someone who sees the woke and can help you think through a narcissistic abuse problem, a woke struggle session coming your way at work, or do you just want to talk about the state of the world with somebody who isn't going to tell you that you're crazy for not enjoying our Mad Max world? Go to joshuaslocum.net. I offer 1 hour video, or if you prefer, just phone consultations, and supporting subscribing members of Disaffected get a discount. Come back and we'll see you after the break.
Disaffected is now streaming on X. Come with us each Sunday and dare to notice reality. You can find us on X at DisaffectedPod.
Do you like what you get on Disaffected? We hope so, and we hope you'll help us support it. We've got several ways to do it. You want to just throw in a couple bucks? $50, $3, $100, $1 million? Go to disaffected.com and click on Support Us. If you want to support us monthly and get access to our members-only private Discord chat server, two ways to do it. You can be a monthly subscriber at our Substack, which is disaffected.substack.com, or choose the platform Subscribestar. Subscribestar.com/disaffected. We put the same content up in both places. And if you want to show your disaffected pride, try our new merchandise. We've got some stuff up for you now. We've got hoodies. We've got a little bag good for paintbrushes or studio makeup. Ding! We've also got a tote bag. We've got a mug. We'll be having more creative things coming up, but we want to see how this goes. Want to get a little merchandise and show us some love? Go to disaffected.com and click on the button that says merchandise. This week, we have a special treat. Our Colorado correspondent, George Zamarippa, is joining us this afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing good, girl. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you, honey. Yeah, I have to... Some of you out there will get this. I so miss Shirley Q. Liquor, and I was listening to Shirley Q. Liquor compilation on the drive into the studio today. So if I slip into that, it's because it's swimming around in my head. George, will you be my Watusi?
Why do I gotta be your Watusi? I'd rather be like... Can't I be the car y'all fell out of or something?
Oh, you could be that big Cadillac.
The one with one door is a different color than the rest.
No, she ain't never had no driver's license.
Right.
All right. So you want to talk to us today. These are my words. You can characterize it as you want. But the irresponsibility and external locus of control that gay men have about the health outcomes of their sexual choices. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is something that you've talked about in the past, I think, several times, but it was something that I saw come up on a social media feed recently. And I was just shocked when I saw the message. And it wasn't really the main post. It was the comment on the main post that really shocked me. And I just thought we need to talk about this because this is exactly the kind of thinking that has kept the gay community in the trouble that it's been for so long.
Well, let's take a look at that. We'll put that on the screen and I'll read it out for people who are listening on audio. So this appears to be a Facebook post. Here's the original post, and then I'll read to you the response that George is talking about. The OP says, I have taken Descovy, that's the brand name for a medication. I have taken Descovy or whatever it is as PrEP for a year, including the last 2 years in which neither my employer nor insurance plan have changed. Now, all of a sudden, I'm being denied. What the hell? So to translate this for people, what this guy is saying is he's taken it as PrEP, which is a not a shortcut. How do you say this word, George? What is that word? It's not a shortcut.
PrEP?
Yeah, PrEP. It means
it's a
pre-exposure prophylaxis. So these are the drugs you take so that you can have a lot of butt sex and not get AIDS.
Correct.
And here's the first response to that post. What the fuck? I'm like, either pay for us to be HIV positive on drugs for life or pay for PrEP and avoid that. Pisses me off so much. Go, George.
So I read that response, and it was the top response, and it's
a very bottom response, though, isn't it?
Well, yes. And I read that, and I just went, "Wow!" So that's the disordered thinking within the gay community. Those are our only choices: either be on PrEP or be HIV positive, but you're not going to say anything about the responsibility that gay men have to quell their hedonistic desires and temptations. Has nothing to do with personal responsibility or what we were all sold when it came to, gay marriage, which was, to try to be just like everybody else, so that we could put those guardrails on men's sexuality, which we all know men have, raging sexual desires. We all know it. We all talk about it. And the idea that would be the decision, not, wow, I need to be more responsible about what I'm doing sexually and who I'm doing it with so that I don't get sick. I don't even know what to say anymore. But this is one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be a part of I don't know who these people are. I don't want to be a part of them. I don't want to have anything to do with them. This is not who I am.
Yeah, well, and there's two layers to it, really. I mean, you're talking about the lack of personal responsibility, but and it's that, but it comes in two ways here. It's not only not taking responsibility for your own sexual choices that have these outcomes, but explicitly and without apology saying, and it's other people's job to pay for the drugs so that I can keep being a whore.
Correct.
I mean,
yes.
It's
good point.
We know that there's selfishness. We know that we've become a very narcissistic society. But I think it's noteworthy. I think we should take note when we see we are so narcissistic that it didn't even occur to this person how he's coming off here, right? Like, even 10 years ago, he might have had a second thought. Like, oh, do I really want to be seen by the world saying I'm a big whore and it's your job to pay for it or you're killing me? Like, didn't even occur to him. And as you say, it's the top response. Everybody likes it.
Well, yeah, and I think that speaks this speaks volumes about the cultural frankly rot that we've wrought upon our culture by pronouncing that everything is fine. We can all do whatever we want. Everything's great, as long as you're not hurting each other, but you are hurting each other by doing
Oh no, we don't. You can take that off now. There's no more so long as you're not hurting each other. Now, it's fine. Do what you want.
Yeah, exactly. I know that this happened, but it was my choice, and that's all that matters. We're not going back. Joy.
We're not going back.
God.
Yeah. Every time I hear phrases like this, I see the cover for that made-for-TV movie, Not Without My Daughter.
Not without my PrEP.
I know. Not without my tampon.
Right.
There's a question. There's a question of whether this is new or whether it is a continuation or a deepening of some place we've already been. So I'm looking at some pictures and some articles from the late 80s and early 90s with ACT UP activists. These were the militant queers of the late 80s and early 90s who were very upset about the AIDS crisis and were very angry with Anthony Fauci's pushing of the poisonous drug AZT. They were also very angry, first at the Reagan administration for, and I paraphrase, basically letting us all die. So I'm looking at these pictures of protests, and I'm thinking to myself, it was the same shit 40 years ago. It was exactly the same irresponsible externalization of responsibility, because these guys, mostly guys, but some women, were saying, you, pointing at the federal government, you are killing us. You are letting us die. And I'm sitting here, and George, you were around for some of this too. You have a brother who died of AIDS. I didn't have a close family member who died of AIDS, but I'm a little bit older than you, and I knew many people who did die of AIDS. And, so you and I both experienced personally the AIDS crisis. We saw what it did. We lost people. You lost someone very close to you. So I've been through that. It's not like I don't have the sympathy or the empathy for it. I do. But you know what? You can say what you think about this, but nobody killed all those gay men but themselves. Ronald Reagan didn't kill them. Anthony Fauci, yes, he should be in the dock for lots of things. But the primary responsibility for that was the behavior of the gay community. We did AIDS to ourselves. That's what I think.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, and no, I think you're right. I think that we were fed this constant stream of information in the 80s that here's my lover, a person who died of homophobia. And, that was the term that they would always turn. This person he died of HIV. He died of HIV-related illness because he was probably having unprotected sex. Yes, again, like you like to say, supply or not alls. I realize there are people who, got HIV through other means, blood transfusions, blah, blah, blah. But the majority of gay men who had HIV and who have HIV to this day got it because of unprotected sex. Period. End of conversation. And we were fed this information that people died of people not caring and stuff. We don't care about ourselves. We have a death wish. I think we're the ones who've done it to ourselves. And it, to me, it's once again that we have those difficult conversations and start looking at ourselves and going, how did we do this to ourselves? And what are we going to do about it, and why? And why are we unwilling to take responsibility for it? And we're just not willing to have those conversations. In fact, the further along we've gotten, all the years now that we've gotten past the main part of the AIDS epidemic in the 80s and early 90s, we've just buried our heads in the sand even further about being able to take responsibility for our part in what happened. Now, and I think I've said this before to you, we have wrapped up gay men and we've been sold this bill of goods that identity politics, right? Our identity is wrapped up in our sexuality, and not just sexuality itself, but in the freedom to practice our sexuality wherever, whenever, with whomever, in front of whomever. It doesn't matter. And it's this libertine, hedonistic idea that we have wrapped up our identities around. Look what it's done. What has it gotten us? A lot of pain, a lot of misery, a lot of sadness,
yes,
broken homes, no children, and you can sit there and talk about how your chosen family all you want. But at the end of the day, who are you left with?
Well, yeah. And yeah, you're right. You're right to talk about, I think, the sadness. It's not, I mean, there are dire consequences, potentially dire consequences, health consequences. If you live your life a certain way, you're going to die young, you're going to die of sexually transmitted diseases, or you're going to spend a lot of time sick and being treated for them. But the sadness of what you're left with after you live your life that way, in that hedonistic way where sex is cheap and you have hundreds and hundreds of partners, which is really common among gay men. It's not universal, but it is common.
Right.
And then you get to middle age, and what do you have? Right? What do you have?
Right.
Nothing solid. And what does this look like to you? I mean, you're a married gay man. You're a monogamous married gay man. And you know other married couples. I think you know more of them than I do. You're in contact probably with more of them than I am. But what it looks like to me is I don't know very many of them, George, who are even faithful to each other.
I don't either. I know a lot of gay men who are married and live together, but I know an awful lot of them who do things that my husband and I would never even dream of doing. I mean, he and I have conversations about it all the time. We'll look at somebody on Facebook and, we'll see a married, somebody we know who's married, and they're off at like some trip while their partner's at home or somewhere else. And I'm like, who goes on vacation without their married, like without their partner? It's weird. It's weird. I'm sorry.
Well, and people can live their lives the way they want to. Sure. It's not as if heterosexuals haven't had open marriages. Of course they have. Sure. That is other people's business. It is not actually my business. I'm just pointing out that this whole political propaganda that accompanied the push to gay marriage was, in fact, only propaganda. It was the soft and nice and we just want to love each other. We just want to have the same legal rights. Okay, fine. I agree that adults should be able to form legal contractual household relationships and be each other's next of kin out of choice, not just because of blood devolution, right? I think most people can agree on that. Fine, live your life the way you want. But this idea, and I fell for it to some degree. I don't think I fell for it as much as some people did. But this idea was that most of us homosexuals just wanted to have the normal white picket fence life. It isn't true. It doesn't look true to me now. I don't see very many of them doing it.
And that's an interesting question, because I think deep down, most of us do want those things, really. I think that a lot of people have, for whatever reason, have either thought to themselves that they can't have those things because they're bourgeois or because they're it's a heterosexist norm, or, all this bullshit, sort of Marxist jargon that we've all been fed over the past 40 years. Instead of just going, no, it's normal to want like stability. Stability is something that you should want. It shouldn't be something that you look at and go, I have to fight against that. But I'll tell you, I had a conversation many years ago, early on in my relationship with my husband. We have many conversations on weekends when we're like lying in bed. And one of the conversations I had with him once, and I bring it up many times, is I think I had been looking at a social media thing and looking at friends who were like in some sort of polyamorous relationship. And this was back before I, like you, had sort of had my coming around to much more conservative thought. And I mentioned to my husband, I'm like, I want to be a good liberal. I want to be like pro polyamory and all these things, but I just can't do it. It just is wrong to me. Like, I'm like, it just seems like a recipe for divorce.
An extremely messy divorce. Like, put plastic sheeting down. I mean, actually, they should all be doing that to protect the furniture anyway.
Well, exactly. I mean, Lord.
I mean, why do you think Joan Crawford put so much plastic on her furniture? Can you imagine? This is my primary Alfred Steele.
Yeah. So I think that it's, I think that, I really do think that deep down, we all want those things. I just think that we've believed that we either shouldn't have them or can't have them.
Or shouldn't want them.
Or for some people, what was that?
Or shouldn't want them.
Yes, or shouldn't want them. Or for some people, think that they don't deserve them for some reason or another. And, I thank God that I grew up in a household with the father that I did, and that I had the stability that I did in my household, that even with all the Marxist bullshit that we all learned in college and going through that and coming around a little bit later in our years to where we are now, I was still able through that to be able to be like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So that's
I know. Whoever would have imagined. George, thank you very much for coming on the segment. I appreciate it, and we will have you back on again. We're gonna have to come up with an actual name for the segment. I think we're gonna do something with Colorado Correspondent. But if you come up with something funny, let me know.
Yeah, don't get me started on what's going on here.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next time. Thanks, George.